So if you have any questions, hit us up in the comments. We're going to be talking today with Rode. We're super excited. We've got Rode's product manager, Julian Lennox, with us today. Julian, how are you doing?
Yeah, really good. Thanks for having me on the stream. We're huge fans of what you guys are doing. We have a lot of Rhino camera gear here, and we love it. So, you guys being one of the sponsors of My Rode Reel, it's always good to work with you guys. So, pleasure.
Absolutely. And, first on that note, hats off, guys. Like, the Rode Reel has just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger every year. It's already the biggest short film competition, if I'm not mistaken. And this year you've taken it to new limits. Actually, do you want to just talk about some of those things and hopefully get some additional entries based on people who are seeing this today?
Yep, My Rode Reel, it's always a great time of year, this time of year where we start to see those films flooding in from creators all around the world. But My Rode Reel's been growing year on year. This year, obviously the biggest one that we've got yet, we got $1 million in prizes that we're giving out, but also $1 million in cash that we're giving out in prizes for that one. So we actually have just over a month left of time for people to get their entries in. So we're going to be finishing that on 7th of October. So you've got just over a month to deliver those. And then we, of course, have a 2-week, period of judging and voting. So there is enough time to get your entries in. So make sure you do, so you don't miss out on that huge cash prize.
Absolutely. So that's so fantastic. I mean, if you guys haven't heard of the Rode Reel, you need to go check it out. All the details are on the site, and there's so many different categories with this. So if don't feel like, oh, well, I'm not a narrative filmmaker, I'm a doc filmmaker, or I don't do this type of thing. There's literally every category, and it even includes the behind the scenes of how you're using the Rode mics. And so it's just a really compelling and dynamic competition. And so be sure to check it out and be a part of it.
And the entry, the barrier is so low. Like, you don't have to be a professional filmmaker. Like, honestly, some of the best films are made with some of the lowest budgets,
Yeah. I actually refer back to some of these films over previous years that have been entered. Especially the comedy category. Like, I just find them, there's some that have been
hilarious,
so
right?
funny and so on point that hats off to both those involved and you guys. I'm excited for this year's entries, and it'll be great as always. But that transitions us really well into today's content, just around audio. Obviously, with you guys, it makes sense. You guys have been in this game a long time and making great products. When I was emailing you guys back and forth about this, I counted. I think I'm on my 11th or 12th mic personally from Rode. So you've been a part of my filmmaking kit since the beginning.
Once you get Rode, you never go back, do you? Yeah.
That's right. It's on that road, and we'll be on it forever. So
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Everyone makes fun of me for my puns, but you know what? I'm a dad, so I can do that.
I'm on it. And I love it.
But being a filmmaker, I love the image. I love working with that and manipulating it, getting the lighting just out and right, just like we talked with Aperture earlier today. And, they gave a lot of great tips. And I know, though, there's this thing in the back of my mind, and it's probably because it's connected to, my 2 ears always remind me, and it's audio and how important it is in our films, and how, if you overlook it, it's just a huge oversight. And so what I want to focus on today for our discussion is, how do we, people in my boat that, are on that visual side, how do we get more into that audio space and make sure that we're paying equal attention to that and getting the most out of these fantastic mics and just any mic in general, for that matter, just to be getting quality audio.
That's right. Audio is something that, if it's done well, you barely notice it. But of course, if it's done poorly, it sticks out like a sore thumb. So it can really be something that comes around to bite you if it's not done correctly the first time around. And you're right. You're absolutely right. A lot of videographers don't think about that. It's the last thing they think of. They got the lighting set up. They've got, the scenes looking perfect and excellent. But yeah, audio is very often the last thing that we think about, but it's so crucial. 50% of the picture, you know, the movie can be communicated through sound. You know, you've got cues, you've got, you know, emotion. You've also got, you know, things like the actual storytelling comes through really strongly with the audio. So it's a huge part of any film. But if we were going to be talking about that today, I know that a lot of filmmakers don't have the budget or the team to be able to have a dedicated sounder, you know.
Yeah, for
Fortunately,
sure.
working in the team at Rode here as a soundy, I was able to capture all of the sound for the team, you know, out on various shoots internationally and around the place. But that just means you have so many options in post-production with the soundy. So, you know, you've got a boom, you've got radio mics on every single actor, you've got plenty of options. But obviously, having a small team, it's often the videographer who gets stuck with the audio job. So you see them wandering around with headphones on and their camera, and they're doing many, many different jobs all at once. And there's a fair bit of multitasking and wearing of many hats involved, which makes it quite difficult. Absolutely.
For sure.
But I want to give you maybe 2 tips that could really help with, you know, videographers who find themselves in this situation where they are wearing many hats and they're in effect the stand-in soundy. And the first one would be video mics. I'm sure you're aware, you know, video mics have been around for such a long time now. Yeah, exactly. You got the VideoMic NTG there, the new one.
Yep.
They've been around for ages, and there's a reason why they are such a effective tool in the field. But having that almost like a habit before you go out and shoot, slap one of them on top of your camera, and you're pretty much guaranteed to pick up excellent audio wherever you are. Obviously, it's shooting from the camera's perspective, so it's a very natural sound that you get from a video mic. But nowadays, they are just so flexible, and they do so many things all in one. And it's made to be super simple and easy for a videographer. But the thing is, even if you don't end up using that video mic audio on top of your camera, you can use it really effectively as scratch audio if you're trying to synchronize different cameras in post-production, which can be a really handy thing. Even if you do have a full team of people with 6 cameras and a soundy, you know, sometimes the on-camera microphone just happens to be in the right place at the right time. So you don't know what you're going to pick up, you know, in terms of atmos or, you know, environmental sounds, or it can all be used in certain ways, which is great. But the second thing that I will mention is really, really, really helpful for videographers in this situation that you're talking about, would be wireless you know, wireless microphones with lavaliers. So you clip one
Yeah.
to your actor and you pretty much just set it and forget it. A lot of the times you can hide it underneath clothing if you're shooting something like that where you don't want it to be seen. And that includes, I got one here, the Lavalier Go. I'm sure you know of the Wireless Go system. Tiny little wireless system with a, you know, transmitter and a receiver. And the Lavalier Go connects to this little guy. And once you've got it set up, you can just literally forget about it. It's so consistent, the audio that you get from it. And being exactly where it is the whole time, the actor can just move around and do whatever they want to and be as natural as they want to without ever having to readdress or, you know, reposition your microphones at any point. So those 2 things together, video mics, wireless goes, amazing tools at your disposal, you know, for not disposable, at your disposal for, you know, for for videographers. But what I would say, we did just launch a new product, key to this whole scenario, that really helps to get these 2 tools into the one camera. And that is the DCS-1 and the SC11 cable. Now, the DCS-1 is basically a dual cold shoe mount. And that means that you can mount 2 of these amazing, you know, products or tools onto the same camera. And you can see I've got the Wireless Go receiver on one side, and then I've got the VideoMic NTG on the other. And the SC11 cable is a Y splitter cable, so it would take both of the audio from both of these audio devices and put them into the one input on your camera. So you can now connect 2 audio devices to the one camera, which is really cool and giving you lots of options in post-production.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Sorry, that was a
So,
big answer for a question like that, but
you know, it's a big subject, so I appreciate it. So with that Y splitting cable, is it just splitting that into multiple tracks then? Like, because I know certain cameras can only, like natively, they only have so many tracks like in the file. To explain a little bit more about that.
Yes, so every camera will have, normally they will have two channels of audio. So you've got a left and a right. So even if you are only using a mono microphone like the VideoMic NTG, that will record two channels of audio onto your left and right channel if you've got it
Right.
connected just by itself. So what this does is it will take the VideoMic NTG and assign it to channel 1, and it will take the wireless Go and it will assign that to channel 2. So in post-production, you have two different channels of audio, bopping up and down in your meters, and you can separate them and edit them as you would want.
That's so amazing. So that's actually one of the things I wanted to talk about today, was just like part of the reason that audio can be so challenging so many times is because of all those things you mentioned, right? Like, so your talent's moving, and the boom operator, if you have one, didn't get the mic tilted just right, and so you feel that fluctuation, and that's when the audio becomes noticeable. But if you have that second mic, you have audio redundancy, which is just so powerful.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep.
Incredible.
Mm.
So we have a question actually coming in here. What mic are you using right now for this setup here?
Hey, good question. We are using the NTG5, which is the new premium shotgun microphone, and we've actually got it positioned on a boom buddy from overhead, and it's basically boomed in from overhead. So that's why I'm sounding crisp and beautiful right now.
Yes.
Crisp.
It's crisp. Sound good, look good. You got a beautiful set there. So
hey, thank you. Likewise.
Doing awesome. Yes. Well, it will become more beautiful as we get it ready for the shoot. But we have, so this is another audio thing, right? Like we're on location, and that's why we wanted to bring you here, especially because audio it's not the same as a visual where, basically what you see is what you get. Every different type of surface has a different reaction to sound waves, right? So we came in here and we've got these laminate floors. Every wall itself is a hard surface as well. It's not even sheetrock, it's actually boarded, and the ceiling too. So audio, the waves are just gonna be bouncing. As people come on to sets similar to this, what are things that we can do both on a budget and like not super time consuming wise to help make the most of whatever our location is?
That's a really good question. And I guess it can be approached from two different directions as well. Because like you said, there are ways to treat the room quickly and easily and cheaply, or there are other ways to do it, a little bit more expensive. But if you were to be recording in a room like that, you can do simple things like, use a rug or put up some curtains in a space if that's an option. You can also choose a space in the room that isn't too close to the walls. So ideally, you want to try and record near the center, which I can see you're already doing at this point anyway. But the other thing is a massively helpful tool that we've had on our shoots is actually just C-stands. Like we have these C-stands and black fabric cloths that you hang over the C-stand, and you clamp them in place, and then you hoist this guy up to the roof. So you got a big wall of fabric. And by positioning that in key locations, separating you from, the bouncy wall, or getting you getting that in between you and the noisy, fridge or air conditioner, that can really, really help to get a whole lot cleaner sound. But the third one that a lot of people may not have even thought about was just to close doors and turn off appliances. Our brains are actually quite good at filtering out just noise that happens in day-to-day life. You just get used to the sound of the fridge buzzing away in the corner. But once you get back to post-production, all of a sudden that's all you can hear, because the mic is not discriminating between that and everything else. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we came prepared. We've got some sound blankets, we've got our C-stands, so we'll get them up, and that will really help cut it down. Like you mentioned earlier, a lot of the stuff that we'll be doing with this piece, because it's more voiceover driven, is going to be using it for nat sound as we then go and either get more atmospheric sounds using the mics and a recorder, But it'll be great to have that scratch track for sure. On that note of the video mic and what you had mentioned earlier, using that Y splitter, we have a question of what happens when you're using the safety track, that minus 20 dB option on the video mic. Is that still a usable feature with using both, like a wireless Go and the NTG at the same time?
That's a good question. The safety track, for people who don't know, is a feature that will split your audio, and it will also record a second channel of audio 20 dB lower in the case of the VideoMic NTG. That feature won't be usable if you are using this current setup that we're using here. So with the DCS1 and the Y splitter cable.
Okay, that makes sense. But as we discussed earlier, it also makes sense that it's not as necessary simply because you're already getting that redundant audio, and hopefully it's a crispier track anyways. So great question though from the audience. And on that note, like on these mics, like the NTG, we've got all these different buttons, and when I'm sure many others are learning about mics, there's the high pass, low pass filters and all these different things. And then obviously you have your gain control on this mic as well, which one beautiful execution on how this works. Like, this has saved my bacon so many times when I'm out there. I'm just like, it's not quite where I want it, but then I just dial it. I'm like, I feel like the clouds have parted and like sunbeams are coming down. There might as well be some angels in there, because I'm just like, finally this sounds like what I want it to sound like. So, but for all those other things, like, can you run through some of those features on a wide variety of your mics that like what they do and how we can use them if we are sort of just this DP but turned audio guy?
Yeah, yep. So the feature that you were talking about just earlier is the rotary knob on the VM-NTG, and it feels nice for one. But it also does fulfill a very important feature that we've come across time and time again. We've had our audience, of videographers and filmmakers talk about a lot, which is the fact that the cameras, the preamps on these cameras are not very good at all. They're at best, made to get you a little bit of dialogue that can be heard. Some of them are better than others, but obviously, you will run into problems time and time again with the audio just being a little bit, it's not to the highest quality that you really want. But this rotary knob on the back of the VNTG actually services this issue by applying a boost to the signal. But what I might do is take it back and talk about the first issue that we have with preamps in general, which is, it basically goes, the harder you work your preamp, the more noise that it will introduce to your signal. So you can almost think of your preamp as a person running on a treadmill. If they're walking, they're making hardly any noise at all. But if you turn up that that preamp, all of a sudden he's running on the treadmill really fast and he's making lots of noise. So effectively, you really want to make sure that you have that preamp turned all the way down so that you don't introduce too much of that noise to your signal. That's where this the rotary knob on the VM-NTG comes in, because by turning this up and boosting the output from the microphone, that means that your camera preamp does not have to work quite as hard. And by turning it up, it goes all the way up to 15 at that point. That's that would roughly equate to about a 20 dB boost. And that is more than enough for you to be able to get enough signal into your camera. And I think your preamp can really run all the way turned down. So a good habit that I have, whenever I record with these DSLRs, is jumping into the preamp settings, turning it all the way down, just getting it right down to 0. So you've got your guy in the treadmill just going for a brisk walk. And then you turn up your VM-NTG boost all the way up to like 15, and then kind of like slowly turn it down until you get it to that sweet spot, which is actually about minus 10 dB on the meters within your camera. So effectively, you are trying to make sure you get that balance for your camera, but it just makes that whole system work together so well. Like the VideoMic, that whole model line of products has been built on that specific issue, and it's serviced it in such an elegant way, especially with this rotary knob. Feels so nice. Like you were saying before, when you're on set and you're turning it up and down, it just, it's like the clouds are parting and you're getting exactly what you want.
100%. And like being a design person, like you mentioned the feel of the knob, like that's one thing where you truly feel the quality of this mic. And the price itself, I can't believe like you're able to get these price points, because they just, I feel like just excited as a filmmaker, because like, oh, well, I'm not out that much money for these, but I'm getting a fantastic product. And so that goes for, you know, the NT USB line that you have, which, you know, I'm sure that those are just selling like crazy right now, with everyone doing so many more of these types of calls, as well as.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because a lot of people say, what's the catch? Like, what is the catch? But literally all these microphones are designed and made in Australia in our factory here. So super high quality, really good building materials, just good microphones all around.
Yep. Yeah. Great materials, great markings. They're very clear. And like, even on top of that, like the bonus of like a mic like the NTG, if it were just the 3.5 mic and did exactly what it does, it would already be like just fantastic. But then adding on the USB functionality, which serves both as the ability to charge it, as well as to then plug it into your computer and use it, you can really get a dual purpose out of this, and do a lot of great things. So kudos.
Yeah, that's yeah. It's one thing that a lot of people don't realize. It's actually a USB microphone. So this is literally an audio interface as well as a microphone. So you plug it in via USB-C to your computer, and all of a sudden you've got a voiceover mic that you can kind of track your VO stuff with.
Yeah, I've used it many times for that. I have some egg crate foam that, like, when I'm in a pinch, I can just go down, create a mini sound booth, and it turns out great. So
lovely, nice.
Yeah. So we've got some other questions about some of your products coming in on the feed. So this is relating to the NTG5. Is there a safety track feature on that one as well?
So the NTG5 is a professional shotgun microphone. So there aren't very many bells and whistles. All of the, you know, the work and development has been put into making this microphone sound perfect. But some of the other amazing things. So to answer your question, no, it doesn't have any extra features. A lot of professional soundies, they get they get scared away by a lot of those features, and they go, no, I just want something very, very, very simple. You know, it's just got to be good. If it's raining, it's got to be good. If it's, you know, they're engulfed in flames, it has to be unbreakable, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does that job. So it's a great question, but kind of different ends of the range, different use cases, but both incredible for what they do, for sure. Now on the note of, like, we've now got this whole line of gear towards that entry space, right? With the NTG, the wireless Go, the NT USB. Can some of these products be used? I mean, you showed as well that they can be used in tandem with the Y splitter, but can you use, for instance, like on the wireless Go, it's got the plug-in for the lavalier. Could you say wireless boom the NTG using the wireless Go?
Yes. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. That is actually something on a recent shoot that we've seen happening. A lot of creators and videographers are, uploading to socials with a really sweet little setup where they have used the VideoMic NTG with the wireless Go, which is a super elegant way to get your VideoMic NTG completely wireless. Yeah, I'll see if I can. No, I won't do it right now because it's a bit hard to kind of pull it off and fiddle around with it, and I'd be wasting everyone's time. But you basically attach the wireless Go to the bottom rail of the VideoMic NTG, and you plug the 3.5mm cable from the VideoMic NTG into the wireless Go transmitter. And then from there, this little array, it can, you can screw it onto a boom pole and boom with it, or you can literally walk around with it and, pick up sounds from around this, the space. So it is effectively completely like a wireless situation. And we all know how annoying wires become on set, absolute tripping hazard. So having one less wire on set is always a good thing, I say.
Yeah, for sure. Man, you just blew my mind a bit, because I didn't even realize that that's the same size. So there you guys go.
It's incredible, huh?
you can use the wireless go just right in there, because I had rigged it up other ways, and tried it, and I was like, I'm one to try things and see if it breaks, so to speak, and then work my way back from there. But that's a truly elegant solution to be able to get that all in one. Very fun. I will be doing that from now on for different things. So if people are just getting into the space too, like on top of all this, like we've got different mics and different uses, there's also different cables, right? So, you know, we've got 3.5s a lot on the more of the entry side, and then you get into XLR, and there's then a variety of XLR types. Can you tell us a little bit about the difference in those cables and why one is preferred over the other?
So both of those cables are balanced. So you have a balanced signal coming through, and that's important because it shields the cable from any noise that you might be experiencing in the location from, you know, RF interference or microwaves or that kind of thing. So both of them will deliver high quality audio. I guess that's the first thing to mention. But they do transport a hot and a cold. So you will get, I won't go into wiring of each of these microphones, but they basically will service the same thing. I would say if you're using cameras, for the most part, we have designed our products around that use case. So a lot of them have a 3.5 millimeter output. But a lot of these, you know, obviously if you're in a studio or if you're at home and you've got an interface, a lot of those studio microphones are designed with an XLR output. I guess one of the big differences would be power delivery. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with phantom power and plug-in power and the difference between the two, but a lot of microphones will require some amount of power to work, especially the condensers. So XLR microphone can transport something called phantom power, and that's 48 volts of electricity that runs up the cable to the microphone, so you can use that for your recording. But when you're using a 3.5 millimeter TRS cable, that will transport something called plug-in power. So a lot of these cameras will transport, and I think that's only from anywhere from 2 to 4 volts of electricity. And that will be transported through the cable to the microphone and enable it to work. So I guess those would be the two big differences between, you know, XLR and one's not better than the other in terms of audio signal, or, you know, they're just different use cases, I suppose.
Yeah, that's good to know. So yeah, so like, does that so both are balanced. Does the length of line have any effect more so on one over the other, like in terms of like 3.5 to XLR? Like, is there an issue? Like, say, you know, maybe I don't have a recorder, but I want to boom a mic, and so I'm still semi-tethered to the camera using just like a long male to female type plug to get it over from a mic like the NTG to camera. Is that a feasible option too, if that's something?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. A lot of the time, yeah, as you say before, there are a host of people who are very untrusting of wireless technology, even though some of it's really, really good today. Like the wireless go, you'll hardly ever get dropouts. But some people are really set on using wires for absolutely everything. And in that case, you can run a cable for a super long time. Like signal degradation is, you would have to run a cable for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of meters before you even start to hear any type of signal degradation. So what you're referring to though, if you were to get the VideoMic NTG and stick it onto a boom pole and run a 3.5 millimeter cable, you know, back to your camera, we do sell those, by the way, the VC1.
Awesome.
And that will supply, you know, perfectly good audio from the boom mic all the way back to your camera. It might also be worth mentioning, you know, with a boom mic, of course, it takes a bit more work and it takes a person to hold the boom and get the technique right, but it will get you better audio than if you were to use, you know, an on-camera audio or I mean, it's not as consistent as a lav microphone, but that comes back to the audio redundancy that we were talking about before. It's always better to have more options, you know? if you've got your lav, you've got your boom, you've got your on-camera microphones, you're kind of covering different bases. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, you can run a longer 3.5 millimeter cable from a boom all the way back to your camera.
Yeah, and that's great to know. And even if you are like, I mean, we're in a selfie world, right? So there's so many people that are not only one-time, like a one-man band or woman, whatever, filmmaker, however you want to film, they're actually filming themselves, so they become the talent of sorts for whether it's their channel or whatever they're producing. And so a great thing that you can even do is use a C-stand as that second person and use, oh gosh, I'm spacing on the name of that type of hook that you use to throw in your C-stand head to then hold your boom pole.
The boom buddy, the guy that's upside
Yeah,
down
that. Yeah. The boom buddies. Those come in handy so much
I know
too,
what
and
you're
they're
talking about.
very economical. So if you haven't used those, check them out, because that's a great way. Whether you are filming yourself or filming others, you can use that as, I mean, obviously it's not going to be moving, but at least it's getting it out there. And to your point, I think this is what you were saying earlier. Having the camera or having your mic just on the camera versus being boomed. It's all about getting the mic as close to the talent as possible, right? So that's why lavs are so great, and any way that we can get the mic closer to a person, the better. We do have another question coming in from the group, and I think that this is we may have already answered it, but just in case. So on that SC11 splitter cable, it automatically splits those to the left and right channel, right? By default, once you put it in, it just does the work for you, and you don't have to do anything else.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah, it's really great actually. We've also color coded both of these cables. So there's a black one that goes into the left channel, and then there's a red one that goes into the right channel. So by thinking about that in a way, it's kind of nice and easy to think red equals right.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. And you've been doing a lot with color coding lately, and that solves a lot of the cable problems that we run into. If you are the one that wants to, have everything cabled on the Podcaster Pro and everything else that you guys have, you have those different colored little rubber rings, which just sort of save the day, right? To know where
that's right.
which mic is, and for both the talent as well as anyone working the audio deck, it's super beneficial. So good work on those simple things that make a huge difference.
Cable management. Yeah, I love it.
love some cable management. Well, one of the last questions I have here as we are preparing for our shoot, so this is, a bit selfish here, but I think it applies to many of us and what we're doing. What are the best ways to use some of these mics for when we're recording, maybe just to record some of these matte sounds to then use later as sort of a Foley in our sound design scape? What are some things to keep in mind to have the sound, I guess, come across most natural?
Yes, that's a good question. I would say, so you have the VideoMic NTG and the Wireless Go on hand for the shoot. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep, we got it.
Right. Okay. The VideoMic NTG, being a mono microphone and being a shotgun microphone, is exceptionally good at picking up, sounds that you want to be focusing on. So say you've got you're on set and you want to pick up the noise, the particular noise that you are getting from the grass, rustling as the wind blows over it. By using that, you can really encapsulate that and remove pretty much everything else from your environment and just focus on that. And we'll call that spot miking on different things. At that point, if you just have your camera, you can just use that as a recording device. So often what we will do on set is, we'll run around with a camera with a VMNTG attached and go, we really want to pick up some of that noise over there. Let's go over and literally hold up the camera right next to the sound and pick it up, just with the, onto the camera. So that's a good way of getting non-diegetic sounds for your film or, effects. I know a lot of people would rather pick up the the sound on set rather than go into a sound library and pick up things, because it's quite easy to hear the difference between the two, especially when you have watched a few films and you know you can hear the same, you know, Wilhelm scream over and over again. So a lot of people end up using the same sound libraries, you know. It's a really funny thing.
Yeah.
So doing this kind of thing will make it sound natural, but also it's actually quite easy to do, picking up those sounds. But the other thing that I would mention as well is if you are able to invest in a stereo microphone, like the Stereo VideoMic Pro or the Stereo VideoMic X, those microphones are exceptional at picking up environmental noise or atmos of your location. And of course, picking up in the location that you are shooting in, it always makes sense to do that above anything else.
Yeah.
So picking up one of those, really an awesome investment that you can go for. Yeah, I think those are probably the two things that I would really push for the most part. Yeah.
Perfect. That actually answered a question that was just asked. What about the VideoMic X for atmospheric sound? And you know that definitely gets that. And for those that aren't familiar with it, do you want to explain a little bit why that is, just in terms of the pattern of the mic inputs to be able to capture that better?
Yes. Yeah, so the Stereo VideoMic X captures stereo sound in a supernatural way that sounds really pleasing to our ears. It uses a mic configuration. Obviously, there's two microphones within the windshield, and they're both pointed in opposite directions in an XY configuration. So one's pointing to, you know, to the right, and the other one's pointing to the left. I can't tell if I'm backwards on your screen there, but those two, when you get them into your session, when you're editing them in post-production, literally all you need to do is pan them left and right, and you've got an amazing atmosphere, you know, stereo field to listen back to. And just having that really low in your mix, if you want it to be a natural shot, it can really, really up the production of your film.
Awesome. All such great advice, and I'm so excited to be applying it. As we get close to the wrap up for this stream, I think it's time for a giveaway. How's that sound to you, Julian?
Hey, that sounds great. Let's do it.
Perfect. Well, as has been tradition for the past several streams here with the Your Story Matters, what we've been doing is getting you onto these wonderful sponsor sites. They have so many great products. We're not just, we didn't just reach out to anyone who had sponsored this campaign. We were very intentional about who we reached out to and why. And it's because these are products we know, trust, and believe in, and Rode is no exception to that. We've used their products for many, many years and love them. And if you haven't gotten into a Rode product yet, we highly suggest it. On that note, we will be giving away one of these guys, the relatively new VideoMic NTG. This is an exceptional mic. I've had several versions of the on-camera video mics from Rode. This is my favorite. It just solves so many of the kind of those workflow issues that you had mentioned. So whoever wins this, I'm really looking forward to it for them. So you mentioned earlier power, phantom power, and how some of these mics can either pull it from the camera or they have it inside the mic, and that can come in a variety of formats. With this mic, it has a built-in battery, and that's where our question comes from. In terms of runtime, what is the lowest anticipated range that you will get out of this guy on a full charge? So the first person to comment with that, how much battery life can I expect out of the VideoMic NTG, will be our winner, and we'll get that taken care of for you.
Well,
as we're waiting, yeah, I'm excited for this person, man. Whoever they are, they're in for a treat. As soon as I got this mic, I instantly wanted another one to just use in different ways, and so
get them in stereo.
Yeah, maybe I can hop in here and answer this question I asked, and I can win. But no, we're excited. So we'll see who this lucky winner is here in just a minute. And as that's coming in, one other question I have for you, Julian, is as you know, these mics are becoming more and more capable, and we also have our smartphones in our pockets. Are there any ways to basically use our phones as the recorder of sorts? And I know you have an app as well. Potentially, is it through the app that you can use these mics to be a recorder with your phone too?
Yes, absolutely. And that's a really good question. We get asked that quite a bit. You know, everyone's got their smartphones on them. I'm not going to go into it, but we are, you know, looking at this part of the you know, the filmmakers category quite a bit going forward. But when you are recording on your smartphone, a really nice product that you can use to get 2 channels into your smartphone is with the SC6L. So this works if you've got an iPhone. And what that will do is take 2 TRRS inputs. So you can use your VideoMic NTG, or you could use the SmartLav Plus. And that's a great way of getting multiple inputs into your smartphone if you've got an iPhone. And you can also output to headphones as well, so you can check it when you're recording. It's awesome for podcasts. It's awesome for picking up pretty much everything that we were talking about on set. But we also had the SE6, the original, which also works for Android as well. You know, not to take anything away from the Android users, but yeah. So we'll work on both of those smartphones. Really good way of recording audio, and of course the Rode Reporter app will work seamlessly with the SE6L, so you can get those separate channels into your smartphone nicely.
Perfect. That's awesome. You know, just the way that this ecosystem is growing and working together is really incredible. I know that you guys recently also launched like a line of products that work with the Wireless Go to basically convert it into you know, more of a newscaster type mic. So incredible to just be able to use the same products across different ways. And
yeah, that's right. We're always trying to look for ways to add value to, you know, the customer's purchase. Like there are so many accessories that we're pushing out for, you know, the Wireless Go, the Rodecaster Pro, all of these devices and stuff are getting more and more support. And as you said, the ecosystems are just growing year on year.
Yeah, for sure. So we had a lot of people that submitted it in, and it was like all right at the same time. And guys, this happens because as we're streaming to YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, even between those different platforms, our feed's going to show up a little bit different than your feed. So, you know, with any giveaway, we hope there's no hard feelings. We understand it was all quick, but both with speed of response and the most accurate response being 30+ hours, the winner is going to be Billy JSK, or JST, sorry. JST from Instagram. Billy, yes, congratulations. Prepare for better audio with the Rode NTG, VideoMic NTG, excuse me. So super excited for you, and thank you, Rode, for doing that. And now, Billy, it's up to you to get that mic, go finish a submission for the Rode Reel competition, and submit that behind the scenes video on how you used it. So
yes, absolutely. Yeah, he's got a month, just over a month to get his entry in. Let's go.
Yeah, 100%. And that goes for anyone watching today. Grab your friends, go out and make a film, submit it. This is an amazing competition, and so be a part of it. Hopefully you can use some of the things that you've learned as we've been doing these Your Story Matters streams, and just keep that in mind. Your story does matter. So take that, make your story, whatever it is, and submit it to competitions like this. I found one of my favorite things about doing any competition like the Rode Reel is that there's a deadline. And that's a powerful thing that I think that we as creators often need, is something to motivate us and push us and say, it has to be done by this point. And so you have your deadline, October 7th, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, just over a month.
Okay.
Enough time to make a film. It's a challenge, but you know, with something like this, you can get pretty good audio. There's no excuse.
No excuse. No excuse. You've heard it all here for great tips on how to get world-class audio at truly any level. So make it happen and go out and have fun. Julian, thank you so much for your time today. It's been great talking to you, and I've learned a lot.
Thank you for having us on the stream. Yeah, as I said before, we love our Rhino camera gear. It's always a pleasure working with you guys. Really appreciate having us on the stream. So it's been a pleasure.
Hey, absolutely. The pleasure's ours, and look forward to future talks, and best of luck with everything around Rode and the Rode Reel competition. So keep it up.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.